Just risk removal, according to the National Teaching Council, as it intensifies efforts to sanitize the teaching profession, as more than 100,000 non-professional teachers continue to teach in basic and private schools across the country without the required qualifications and licenses. The council said that the situation posed a major threat to the quality of education, particularly in rural communities where unqualified teachers continue to dominate classrooms. Well, the director in charge of teacher licensing at the NTC disclosed this during a special matriculation ceremony. According to him, a recent compliance exercise conducted in second cycle schools revealed that about 12,000 graduate teachers lack professional teaching certificates required for licensing. He warned that non-professional teachers who fail to regularize their status risk being removed from classrooms in the future. Well, this is something we need to talk about. This is a good step, if you like. We know that there are communities that need teachers, and there are a lot of teachers or people who have gone through training to be teachers who are not posted, who are still at home years after going through the education studies. How are we able to make sure that there is the quality of teaching that we want and still maintaining presence everywhere, so that we don't sacrifice one for the other? So what happens to the various communities, various areas where there are schools but there are no teachers? It's a bigger problem. The teachers are not accepting postings there. Do you want to know why? They have various reasons why they are not accepting postings there. Because the place is rural. Mainly that's the reason. They lack community. They don't see their lives working out there. So instead of encouraging them to go to the various rural areas to go and teach, how about incentives? If that is too much to ask, fair enough. How about making the place habitable for them? So essentially we're talking about development here. If everywhere, if every community, if every school had a certain semblance of schools in urban communities, good roads, good water, enough furniture, enough teaching and learning materials, wouldn't it be easier for teachers to accept postings to these areas?
High students of this country. Yeah, I know you love me.
And wouldn't we be, improving on the ratio of teacher to students?
I would have paid attention in class.
And wouldn't we be able to employ a lot of the teachers already that we have who are not employed?
If I go back to JS,
then comes the issue or the conversation of also financial clearance from the finance ministry.
Go back to school.
So it's a whole cycle, it's a whole system, it's a whole value chain.
Hotel just to swim in the pool.
But this is what the National Teaching Council is saying. They want to sanitize teaching profession. More than 100,000 non-professional teachers, they continue to teach in basic private schools across the country without the required qualifications and licenses.
Because I would have studied hard enough to answer all the questions he asked me.
So if these people go home because they don't have the license, which they should have, if they go home, what happens to the students? Are other students available to, other teachers available to step into their shoes? Ghana for you.
That's what I used to think before, but now I know better. 3fm927.
Teachers,
I love you too.
the Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch.
Valentine. If I go back.
Mr. Sari, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you.
Morning, Chief. How are you? And you?
Very well, thank you for asking. This morning, the NTC is telling us in the Daily Graphic that about 100,000 teachers who are teaching in various public basic schools, they risk losing their jobs. We're talking about the need for licensing. Good. There's also the concern about the job losses, the concern about how it will impact the quality of teaching and learning in these schools if these teachers are sacked because they are not meeting the required standards. How do we marry the two, Mr. Sari?
Well, there's a regulatory requirement at law through the Education Regulatory Bodies Law that the NCC, being the regulator of the profession, must ensure that everyone who is teaching in a Ghanaian classroom is licensed. And as part of the NCC's mandate, it has been working with the Ghana Education Service and other employers within the space, within the private schools, to ensure that their manpower or teachers go through the licensing process and are certified as licensed teachers by the NTC. The license was introduced about 10 years ago, I think about 9 years ago. And so we've had significant numbers of teachers being licensed. Ghana is one of the countries in the sub-region where we have one of the highest percentage of trained teachers in our classroom. But the challenge here are twofold. The first is that we still have teachers who are teaching in the education sector who have been licensed, and about 70 to 80% of them are in the private sector. So the 100,000 you mentioned is an estimated number of teachers teaching in the system, not just public schools, but then in public and private schools, who still haven't gone through licensing. Of this number, about 30,000 are in public schools, 12,000 being in public senior high schools, or like secondary schools, and then 18 or so in the public basic schools. But the remaining about 70K are found in the private sector. The main reason why these teachers have not been licensed all this while is that some of them are what we call subject teachers, especially in secondary schools, who were not employed with Bachelor of Education degrees. They don't have education degrees, but they are experts in their subject areas. And so for them to become licensed, they need to go, ordinarily they have an education degree before they can qualify to write the license examination. Okay. And the second reason is that in the private sector, many private schools do not recruit based on education degrees. Once you demonstrate capacity to teach in a certain area, they engage you. So similar reason exists in the private sector. As a result of this, the National Teaching Council has rolled out an intervention working with these two partners, the public school sector and the private sector, where it has introduced a crash program, a postgraduate diploma education, which program within a few months should, upon completion, confer a postgraduate diploma in education to teachers who are teaching but do not have education degrees, limiting their ability to proceed to write the license. So they started. About 12,000 or so are already enrolled. I think about 12 to 15,000 have already enrolled in the first batch. And the expectation is that they will go through, and then those who pass successfully will have an opportunity to either write the license or get direct entry or integration into the licensing region. Let me explain this bit. When the license was introduced in 2018 or so, it was explained that existing teachers who were already teaching, whose employment predated the birth of the law, were given, if you like, they were given an exemption. So they were not supposed to write license because they were already teaching. Now, so if you were teaching, Johnny, and then you did not have an education degree then, and now today you are now doing the PGD, because you were teaching before the law came into force, you will not be writing the license. Once you pass the PGD, that's it. But for majority of them who were employed after 2018 or so when the law was who were employed after 2020 when the law was passed, and do not have education in place. If you write the postgraduate diploma in education and you pass, you won't write the license like all new teachers are doing. So that is the exercise that the NTC has started with the unlicensed teachers and assistants.
So, based on the concerns that many have expressed, if we're going back to what happens at various private basic schools, if these teachers are let go, they add up to the existing numbers of people who have gone through training to be teachers from the various institutions, and then these students, they are also left without teachers, or there are teachers who are licensed and who are at home.
When it comes to the private sector, Johnny, the issue is a very, very tricky one. On one side, and I'm going to be honest with you on this, the average private school does not have the capacity to pay market rates for a licensed teacher.
Right.
The average private school in Ghana does not have the capacity. The average private school teacher salary is about $100. That is almost half of what the average public licensed teacher salary is. And so, for us to assume that the private schools, once this enforcement is the enforcement is done, all private schools will have to strictly be allowed to put on the licensed teachers. Yes, that's how the law says. But how it is implemented is a conversation that I'm sure should have happened long ago. That given the capacity of our private schools, it's likely that even if they are compelled to hire licensed teachers, which is great because we must standardize the system, the people should be ready to teach in those schools without taking the same salary, or rather taking the same salary as those who are taking the public space. That's right. So those conversations are very important to have. Because what is the point where we can no longer continue to give a moratorium to private schools as to when their teachers are going to be fully licensed?
I see. Is there an agreement or a consensus that can be reached? Is there a middle ground somewhere?
I think this will be a test case in the sense that we operate a free market in the labor front. So if you establish a company, I wouldn't even go far. No one in Ghana can determine how much the media general should pay you, provided they are not paying you below the minimum wage. And so the same rule applies. Whether the person coming to look at Media General was trained by University of Ghana or UDF, and has a license from wherever it is, no one can determine how much it should be paid, provided they are not being paid below the minimum wage. So that's how that's some of the challenges that we face. But the fact is that it's the private sector. Government is not determining how much private schools should charge as fees. It's the private sector. Government is regulating entry to the minimum standards for teaching, which is very, very important, because a school without teachers who are trained and qualified and licensed to teach, yet producing excellent results, obviously, there may be some eyebrows. Eyebrows about how you are able to churn out the same results, even though you don't have qualified teachers. And so these things have lingered for a long time at the policy level, how private schools are able to do this. And it has on some occasions raised issues relating to and not just the end, but then the means to the end. And so we definitely are there. I see we are there now because about 70K of the teachers in the system without licenses, are in the private sector. And they have no option than to ensure that the teachers are supported by the schools to upgrade. But not they upgrade, yes, there will be demand on their salaries. And so from us at Edward, we believe that conversation between governments and private schools, if they haven't started, they should start now. Why? The only reason I'm saying so is that there are jobs to present. At the same time, the private schools market takes care of about 25% of the pre-tertiary numbers. So about 25% of us are in private schools. If the private schools should, and this includes private schools located in areas where government has not been government has not been forthcoming or able to provide public schools. So if you live in Adenta, and because there are only 19 schools in Adenta, consisting about only 8% of the schools in Adenta, the majority of the schools there, about 92 are private, and you are compelled to enroll your ward in a private school. It means that such a requirement will push private schools to obviously increase their fees so they're able to cover their running costs. To what extent is government ready to mitigate and ensure that in doing so, cost is not unduly pushed onto parents and for that matter in a manner that will negatively affect equitable access, because the private schools are not just luxuries, but they are providing critical equitable access for a quarter of our potential population. So those are the contexts that warrant, some level of discussion, with primary schools and all that. But all in all, it's a conversation that I think we haven't started hard enough, and which we should start. On our part, we will continue to demand accountability from the NTC, because the law says that NTC must ensure that only licensed teachers should be permitted to teach in our schools, and that there's a good reason for that law. And it must be enforced not only in the public schools, but also in our private schools.
Mr. Sari, before you take leave of us this morning, you were warning that the TVET financing system is failing students. How?
I'll give you a simple knowledge. Maybe two. One is now one personal one. The personal one first. Okay, so prior to free senior high school, free TVET, we had free senior high school. In 2020, we added TVET to it. All we did was just add 100 cedis to the cost of free senior high school. So if government was paying 1,300 cedis per person under free senior high school, we added 1,000. Sorry, we added 100 cedis. So virtually the equation was free TVET. TVET is equal to secondary education plus 100. If I take general secondary education, that's what we call free senior high school. How we do in senior high schools and senior technical schools, it's called general secondary education. And TVET is TVET. In every country, there's a separate costing framework for TVET. TVET is not general secondary education plus 100. TVET has a unique costing parameters because TVET is delivered on a practical-based system. And in Ghana, a competency-based training curriculum, which requires extensive practical engagement. And so we haven't costed TVET. The costing system in place does not reflect the ingredients required to produce quality, i.e., implement the sensitivity curriculum as a result. Even though our learners are supposed to have at least 20 practical sessions in an academic year in our secondary or TVET schools, some are doing 6, because out of about 6,000 fees needed to do practical work every Friday in a TVET institution, let's say they're doing mechanical engineering, every Friday by practical, out of the 6,000 required for someone who is doing welding or mechanical engineering or catering, government is providing only 33 cities. 33 cities for the entire year, as against an amount of 6,000 needed. So you realize that the huge gap in financing practical training and purchasing consumables made for sale is directly impacting the quality of training. And so people are completing TVET in schools, some of the TVET schools, but they don't have the relevant competencies. Last 2 years, I recommended a student who had completed a prominent TVET school in the Eastern region to a contractor for internship after high school.
Mm-hmm.
The feedback I got from the contractor was that he wasn't able to fix an electric socket, something that 6-month-old apprentice, in an electrical apprentice, should be able to fix. And when he interrogated the learner, obviously they did about 90% theory in school. But the reality is that you have a theory, dominated. You only have a theory-dominated pedagogy, not curriculum. That's a curriculum,
right?
But the application. You only have that if it is poorly financed, poorly resourced, and the institutions have no option than to teach you what they have. The institutional one is, for example, University of Close Training in Europe, and where I was in Kumasi last week for the International Conference. I went to the mechanical engineering section. They are training in mechanical and bachelor's and master's in automechanical engineering. They are training teachers for our TVET schools, and they are training learners, professionals for the industry. But there was no component on electronic vehicle maintenance and assembly. We all know that the future of auto mechanics is electronic vehicle.
Right.
And we know how, dominating EVs have become even in Africa today, in Ghana. And so if you are training teachers for our TVET schools, and you are training directly professionals for the industry, and you are training them in auto mechanics, and there is no component for electronic vehicles, it means that obviously you are limiting their market competitiveness. And so the key challenge of Ghana not being able to match the demand for skills with the supply of skills, which is one of the reasons why we are doing this percent growth, but still we are having 1.3 million of our youth not in employment, education, or training. It's because of the mismatch between our training and the quality of skills we are producing and the quality of skills that the economy needs to drive growth. And so these are some of the things that are directly the result of poor financing. Financing that assumes that, for instance, University of School Training, university should get perhaps the same amount of money or human resource that another university should get. Cognizant of the fact that this is a TVET university, they will require more money because of the way TVET is delivered. They will require more faculty support and all that. So we must have a purposive TVET financing framework that distinguishes the parameters from budget and financing, separate from general tertiary education, and at the secondary level to general secondary education, so that we don't have a one-size-fits-all financing mechanism that produces poor quality learners.
So as it stands, if nothing changes, it's only a name that we have, but we're not putting our monies where our mouth is.
Exactly. Something has changed. Because only before you end, then let's say this, that I found that as you said, they had built a huge center for incubation. But the funds for personal center wasn't there. Basically, the center is supposed to support, if I learned mechanical engineering, bachelor of technology, or BS in engineering, that center is supposed to support me to firm up an idea or the process of ideation, incubation, and mentorship, so that when I complete school, I don't become one looking for jobs, but then I create my own jobs. So that center is supposed to support the transition from school to world of work by creating job creators. But that center hasn't been funded by the public yet. And so there's a huge edifice, beautiful, supported by some different partners and then the school themselves. But they need money to run the incubation center, to engage more hands to provide the resources, to provide as resource persons, and then also provide startup support to students who are able to develop projects that are viable, or being supported as startups. All these things are potential that exist in our institutions, and these are critical because we are at the point where some serious institutions are training people who are unemployed. And you ask them, they are finished with today, but are unemployed. You see, the skills training alone does not create jobs. Skills training alone, it doesn't create jobs. That acumen, that skill you need to transition skills into jobs. It's what USAID is trying to do with this center. So that everything will become another burden on the state in terms of employment. But they're not getting the support. And so I want to use this platform to call on the government and other government partners to support USAID to operationalize its incubation center so that the people they train will acquire the skills they need to become good entrepreneurs and then job creators in the not too distant future.
Mr. Sari, I'd like to thank you so much for spending time with us this morning.
Oh, yes, my friend.
Kofi Asare is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, speaking to us on all that is happening in the educational space. From the threat of 100,000 teachers, unlicensed teachers who are teaching in various basic private schools, losing their jobs, to the lip service we're paying to TVET in the country. This is still Sunrise on 3fm927 live, also on all our social media platforms at 3fm927. This morning, let's talk about road safety. It says that 1,009 killed in 4 months in road crashes in 2026. The number of people killed in road traffic crashes across Ghana recorded a marginal decline of 0.2% during the first 4 months of 2026, according to latest road crash statistics. The data shows that the 1,009 people, they lost their lives between January and April 2026. Compared with 1,011 deaths recorded during the same period in 2025, representing a reduction of only 2 fatalities. Only 2. They say that while the slight decline offers some encouragement, the overall road safety picture remains worrying, as the number of crashes, vehicles involved, injuries, and pedestrian knockdowns all increased during the period under review. So that is the story. That crashes increase, vehicles involved increase, injuries increase, pedestrian knockdowns all increase during the same period. And road safety experts say the figures highlight the persistent challenge of road traffic crashes in the country, despite ongoing public education campaigns and enforcement efforts. Richard Kumado is joining us. He's a fraud and a security consultant. Mr. Kumado, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us there.
Morning. Thank you.
My first question to you is that in 2026, between January and now, these are the number of people killed, 1,009. The same period in 2025 was 1,011. Only 2 deaths. Only 2. The number 2 is the difference in the numbers that we're seeing here. Are we paying enough attention to what is happening on our roads?
Definitely not. I think the cohesive strategy and the effort from the institutions within the road safety area would need to sit up a bit. The nature of our roads have contributed to many of these deaths. The types and kinds of vehicles on the road, the persons behind the wheel, and the inability of pedestrians to adhere to street traffic rules are some of the basic causes of some of these deaths, which are not necessary at all. But I think the institutions within the space have been divergent in a very large extent. If they work together and come together to fix it, I believe we will be making a headway.
They've been divergent. How do you mean?
Each person is doing something on their own, and they are not collaborating in their efforts. So today somebody is out there doing something, another time somebody is out there doing something. Considering the fact that resource will be one of the constraints they face, I believe that if they come together with the little resources they will pull here and there, they should be able to do something about what is actually happening and why people are dying and which particular areas would need urgent attention and in which particular direction.
Is it a concern about policy that is why we're seeing the stark increases?
The policy could be one, but in our case, it's not policy per se, but the implementation of what the policy guidelines are. Let's take the recent example. There are some cars that is it DVLA and is it road safety Amalibas unit? They had this discussion. They said technical team out there, and they came out with a report to say that this particular car is not worthy on our roads. You see them every day. They are everywhere. You go to Tamahabo, a number of people bring them here. There is a policy about it, but implementing the policy becomes a challenge to them. And who does what is a problem. So once you have institutions within the road management area or safety area that are not liaising with the police to do exactly what is expected to do, then the police might be doing what law enforcement officers do, which has nothing to do with what DVLA would do or what road safety people would do. I think they would need to come together in that direction. And once a decision has been taken, all of them would need to ensure that they are implementing what their recommendations are to the letter. Other than that, we might be looking elsewhere. Why is the damage and why our people are being killed elsewhere?
You see how much attention we pay to some other very disturbing development, of course. Galamsey, for instance, the national consensus, the national direction in fighting Galamsey. You see how the country was able to come together when COVID-19 was around, and some other disturbing development, unfortunate instances or happenings in the country, some other menace that we deal with. Do you think that the approach, interest, and attention of the state itself to road safety is low, and that is why it is reflecting in the policy divergence, incoherency, inconsistencies we're seeing right now, contributing to the increase in the numbers?
Definitely, I agree with you, but these are key state institutions that must lead the advocacy and that must lead the public education drive. So if the state institutions are they are not performing to the highest levels or the optimal levels in making sure that they drive change positively in curtailing the manners of road safety and road accidents that is taking the lives of our people, yeah, we can hold the central government responsible, but these are key institutions that must be held accountable for what they are doing right and for what they are not doing right. Then again, on the side of citizens, being aware and being abreast with what could constitute an accident, either by a motorbike or a bicycle or a car, I think the media has played a key role in that regard. But I agree with you largely. We need a national consensus where all of us will have to get involved and make sure that we educate our people, educate ourselves, and we all align ourselves to the standard procedures that will ensure safety and security of our people.
Mr. Kumado, thank you. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Richard Kumado is a fraud and a security consultant helping us make sense and put some perspectives to this worrying development we're seeing on our roads.
morning, Crosby.
How's it looking like for you?
Oh, we are setting up our tents because we are eagerly awaiting the release of that 26-man squad.
26-man squad.
Yes.
From Coach Carlos Queiroz.
Yes.
26. But we have 28 already.
Oh yeah. So we expect that he chops 2 off.
So we'll remove just 2.
Yeah, we expect that he chops 2 off.
But how many keepers do we have in the 28?
It's 5.
5.
Yes.
So 28 minus 2 is 26. But does any country take 5 goalkeepers to a tournament?
No, the maximum you can take is 4.
It's 4.
Yes.
But the regular is 3.
Yes.
So that we can remove 2.
We can remove 2.
And we'll be left to 26.
Yes.
And we'll have the squad already.
We'll have the squad.
And Joseph Spencer will still not be part.
Doesn't look like it.
In the morning. Ensure that them
So you have the details for us. There's also the college appearance fee.
Yes.
$100,000
for each player.
For every game.
No. I mean, for the entire tournament.
For the entire tournament.
Yes.
But if you win a game, there's something else you get. There's a winning bonus.
Winning bonus you get.
100,000.
Yes.
But they say they are sacrificing for Ghana.
Oh, but it's part of their benefits.
I get it. I don't have a problem with it, but don't come and say I sacrifice. You don't sacrifice. You are going to play World Cup. Yes, you are exposed to injuries and blah 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 blah.
But they will cash out small.
And they'll give you $100,000.
They will cash out small.
I'm going to spend. Ghana, what stage will we even get? They will reach the final.
But you know who I'm happy for?
Who?
Benjamin Asari.
Oh yes.
Do you know what that kind of money can do for him?
See, he's not saying he's sacrificing. He sees it as a privilege.
Oh yes.
You, the other boys, you are going to blast us to play. You see, you are sacrificing for the national team. It's a privilege, my brother. Because it is a privilege. How can you be getting $100,000 in 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Plus winning bonus.
Oh, it can be even less than the 4 weeks. Because Ghana can be knocked out of the group stage. That would be like less than 2 weeks.
Did you say can?
cross my T's and dot my I's. Stress way day my chest out.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Sports here on Sunrise on 3fm927. My name is Bill Shen. Now, Nations FC have won the MTN FA Cup for the first time in their history after defeating Dreams FC 5-4 on penalties following a 1-1 draw in the final at the University of Ghana Stadium in Legon on Sunday. The victory secures Nations FC a place in next season's CAF Confederation Cup and caps a memorable campaign for the club. The Cup success provides a significant boost for Nations after a disappointing league campaign that ended in relegation.
We needed to compensate the management and also our fans. So yes, we decided, people might write us off because maybe we are down. But then we were resolved. I mean, everybody, the boys who could see this time around they had it. They felt we have won already, even though we haven't played the game. So for me, everybody was they all determined to play for this game.
That was Paul Manson, the head coach of Nations FC. Meanwhile, his opposite number, Winfred Dormon, said his side's performance was great, but luck eluded them.
It's one of those things, okay? Football, sometimes, these moments happens, and as a coach, you need to be strong to be able to manage, this difficult moment. But having said that, I think it was a very difficult game. First 10, 15 minutes, we were in control, but then the game switched, and we were making some individual errors in defense and the punishes from a set piece. And I think our attitude was great. We responded by scoring a very brilliant goal. Then we went into the break. We kept pushing, and we finished the first 90 minutes 1-1. So the game, per the rules, the game, progressed into extra time, 50 minutes times 2, which we controlled very well. I wanted us to win the game in consolation time because, penalty is 50-50. Now, having said that, we went into the penalty kicks. I think we started very well. We got some momentum, and then, we lost it. Sometimes your best players miss it. Like Suraj, he has been an amazing player this season, but again, he missed this penalty. So I went into the dressing room, I commended them, and I told them that they should keep their heads up, still believe.
That was Winfred Dormon, the head coach of Dreams FC. Let's now do some national team football because the Black Stars head coach Carlos Queiroz is expected to name Ghana's official squad for the 2026 FIFA World Cup today, as FIFA's deadline for qualifying nations comes into effect on June 1st. The senior national team has been in camp in Cardiff since last week with a provisional 28-man squad undergoing final preparations ahead of the global tournament, which will be staged across the United States, Canada and Mexico. Now, still on the Black Stars, the players selected for Ghana's final squad for the 2026 FIFA World Cup would each receive an appearance fee of $100,000. Sports and Recreation Minister Kofi Adams has confirmed. The minister disclosed the figure during an interview with TV3, and the speculation over whether the payment structure would be reviewed ahead of the tournament in Canada, Mexico and the United States.
It varies. Since the 2006, I think they were given, was it $50,000 or $80,000 for appearance. It went up to 120 at a point, and it came back to 100. It has been pegged at that 100 for quite some time.
So this year,
appearance, yeah, it's the same thing.
This year is $100,000.
We haven't changed. We haven't changed it. Some say because the CD has become stronger, we should increase and we said no, we're not going to do so. If the CD had become weaker, would you have said that, okay, as a result of that, you should reduce the dollar so it gives you the same CD amount? You won't say so. So if the CD has become strong, we commend government for making sure that our currency is strong, and you would continue to take what it is that you take, the CD equivalent of what you are supposed to take.
That was Kofi Adams speaking there. Moving on, President John Dramani Mahama has ruled out any government-funded mass travel for Ghanaian supporters to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, describing the estimated cost of nearly $11,000 per fan as unsustainable under current economic conditions. While speaking at a diaspora town hall meeting in London on Sunday, May 31st, the president said the financial demands of fully sponsoring fans covering travel, accommodation, feeding, and match tickets make the arrangement impractical.
It will be difficult to take our supporters from other domain. We are restricted because of the nature of this particular World Cup. It's being held in 3 countries, and we're playing our first match in Canada, and then moving to Boston, from Boston to Philadelphia. And the cost of transporting, feeding, accommodating each supporter is, beyond our means. We say we're being fiscally disciplined. We cannot, spend our money in that manner. The cost approximates for each person to be fed, accommodated, transported, and all that, to watch the games, tickets, and all that, is estimated at almost $11,000. And so, how many can we take? So, we're concentrating mainly on the supporters' unions. They have a tradition of following the team to different places. They've been here to the UK, they've been to Germany, and they are registered members of the supporters' union. But what we're doing is we are procuring tickets for Ghanaians in the diaspora who want to attend the games. And so if you want to attend the game, you will get a ticket to attend the game. And so we have organized our chapters, our Ghanaian citizens in Boston, in Philadelphia, in Canada. And so the tickets that we have purchased, we would give to them to be able to watch the match. If any of you want to travel across and get tickets, I think that there's a way we can manage for you to get tickets to watch the games.
That was President John Dramani Mahama speaking. Now, Black Stars winger Ernest Nuama has admitted that Ghana faces a difficult task at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, but believes hard work and dedication can see the team achieve something special. Now, speaking from the camp in Cardiff ahead of the friendly against Wales, the 22-year-old acknowledged the magnitude of the challenge and awaiting the Black Stars in North America.
The challenge is going to be tough, and I know the challenge ahead is not going to be easy, but with hard work and dedication, we are going to achieve something. And with all my teammates, we really going to work hard. We really want to give it all for the nation, for the flag. And to Ghanaian fans, I just want to say thank you to everyone for your support, for your prayers. You know, it hasn't been easy for me getting an injury. You know, I've worked really hard to get to this point, and I can't wait to give my all. I can't wait to help this country to achieve what we can achieve together as a group. And I know it's not going to be easy, but with all your prayers, we can do something this time.
That was Ernest Nuama, Black Stars winger, speaking. Our communications director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asante Chum, has defended the decision to leave out Derek Cohn from the Black Stars provisional squad for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Ghanaian who recently switched nationality was omitted from head coach Carlos Queiroz's 28-man list, a decision that has triggered debate among supporters and sections of the media. Now, speaking to 3 Sports, Asante Chum cleared the air that his admission was not based on issues regarding his switch.
Editorial policy of FIFA, so I will not be able to speak to that issue. What I know is that we've gone through the process and gotten the job done. Whether they publish or not publish, that's not really our business. There was a responsibility for us to ensure that the processes are followed, which we respected. Cohn is not the first player who has switched nationality. It started many years ago, from the Charles Whittles to the Tony Buffles to a whole lot of players who switched nationality. And we are blessed to have someone like Alex Asante with institutional memory and knowing and understanding the processes that lead to player switch. I wouldn't want to dwell on this matter. Cohn's issue is not about nationality switch. It's about the decision of the coach. The players he wanted in camp are those who are in camp.
That was Henry Asante Chum, the communications director of the Ghana Football Association. Let's head to Europe now, where Paris Saint-Germain claimed back-to-back Champions League triumphs with a 4-3 shootout win over Arsenal following a 1-1 draw after extra time on Saturday, with Eberechi Eze and Gabriel missing from the spot. Mikel Arteta's Premier League champions showed great resilience to take the game beyond 120 minutes in Budapest, but fell to a second final defeat 20 years after their first against Barcelona in 2006. Luis Enrique's side become only the second, besides Real Madrid, to win the competition in consecutive years in the Champions League era.
Of course, unbelievable. I speak with my assistant manager, Rafael Paul, and I said, do you think we are going to win again? And it was like that. And I think when you put all your energy and you try to give your players and the team the best energy that you can, okay. It doesn't matter about the result. I think we deserve both teams to win that trophy. But if I look at the whole season, I think we are a little bit in advance.
because we suffer a lot during this competition. We played against the strong teams in Europe, and we deserve to win this trophy.
That was Luis Enrique, PSG head coach. Mikel Arteta was expressing his disappointment after that loss to PSG on penalties.
Yeah, it's very tough to accept when you are so consistent in the competition all the way to the final, and at the end you lose the trophy on penalty kicks, so it's a difficult one.
In the game itself, there was a moment in extra time, the penalty shout on Noni Madueke. Do you think that should have been a penalty?
I watch it back and it can easily be a penalty, especially we see the penalty that they give me in the competition this season. The referees made that decision. He made a different one on the penalty with Mosquera, and yeah, that's an important one.
That was Mikel Arteta speaking. Bringing an end to sports here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. My name is Bill Ishen. We'll see you same time tomorrow with more updates from the camp of the Black Stars and more. But until then, have a great morning.